I know a lot of you are struggling with trying to figure out what do you do with your life. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do, which is going to give you a formula for success. It was one of the best decisions I made in my life because it allowed me to become essentially wealthy now and to have a huge net worth, but it takes time. The first one I'm going to give you, which maybe this one is the most important, it's debatable, which is don't get a job, build a business. If you're in your 20s right now, most people are going out and they're getting jobs, they're going to college and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's fine. You could do that. You can get a regular job and whatnot. But you know what? Fuck that. Why? Because if you want to be the most successful later on in life, you're going to maybe have to be a little bit poor right now in your 20s. But if you start building a business now, even if you're not successful with that business, you will develop the skills. You will eventually become successful if you go down that road, that you will become financially independent, be self-supporting, and you'll be able to make a lot more money. And maybe you can make a nice six-figure job. Maybe you make $100,000, $200,000 a year. Seems like a lot of money, but that's going to cap out in your 30s. You're not going to make much more than $200,000, maybe $300,000 a year. That's going to be at the upper end of that. But if you build a business right now in your 20s, by the time you're in your 30s, you could be making $500,000, $1 million a year. The sky's the limit. You could be making $10 million a year. I know a lot of guys that are making that kind of money. And me, myself, I'm making pretty similar to that. But I waited too long. I didn't start building the business until much later on. And that's why I'm telling you, do it now. If you're in your 20s, you're young, you got time, you don't have a lot of risk, you don't have a lot of people depending on you, you can take those risks, and you need to take those risks because it's better to gamble a little bit in the game of life to go for a really awesome life than it is to, play it safe like everyone else and basically work your life away until you retire when you're like 65 or 70. Your parents aren't going to like it. Your friends are going to think you're crazy. But if I were you, I would be starting a business. I would not be taking a paycheck from anyone else. Number 2 here. All right. And this one's important, guys. Listen to me. Do not get fat. If you get fat, you will be struggling most of your life to undo that, and you'll have some permanent damage you won't be able to undo. I don't know how many guys that later on in life I coach them and they have loose skin because and I have some to some degree myself. I had allowed myself to get fat at one point, or the love handles, which I struggle with a huge amount. And the problem is that when you get fat, your hard to lose areas start to gain the most fat, and then you end up having a problem with having back fat or love handles, and the only way to get rid of it is to get down to like 5-6% body fat, which is not fun at all. You're going to spend so much effort later on in life if you're trying to get in shape to lose that fat, so it's better to just not get fat in the first place. Be smart about this, right? It doesn't mean you have to be super lean, like sub 10% body fat, but don't get fat, right? That's the key thing. If you want some tips on that, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're following a lot of my diet and fitness advice. Bulldog Mindset membership also, if you want to check that out, I've got full diet plans, exactly what I eat, all the tips for that, but definitely do not get fat. Number 3 here is to invest in real estate. It was one of the best decisions I made in my life because it allowed me to become essentially wealthy now and to have a huge net worth, but it takes time. So invest in your 20s, start buying houses if you can, or buying real estate investment properties to hold for the long term, because it's a guaranteed way for success. If you have real estate and you have a mortgage on that property, it's eventually going to get paid off, okay? It may take a long time, but it's a guaranteed way that you're going to build income. I've got a lot of videos on this channel in the Bulldog Mindset membership talking about real estate investment and why it's such a good thing. So I'm not going to go into the details here, but trust me, you can get 20 to 25% returns on your money better than anything else. There's so many advantages to real estate investment, especially over the long term. If you're in your 20s, critical thing to do. I advise all my coaching clients and help them to do that as well. Number 4 is to date non-exclusively. This one, a lot of people don't like this, all right? But guys, if you're in your 20s, you need to be spending a majority of your time focusing on building your business, building your physique, building your knowledge and your skills and figuring out who the fuck you are. I'm not saying that you can't have a successful long-term relationship, but it's going to be a distraction for you, okay? And it could derail your life, and you also lack the experience to be able to make good choices in life. It's just a fact of life that if you play your cards right, when you're in your 30s, you'll be more attractive and you'll have a greater variety of higher quality women to select from, as well as the experience to know which one of them to select. Most guys in their 20s, they basically end up getting into a long-term relationship with the first girl who will sleep with them. That's not a good idea. It's not a good plan. It's not going to set you up for success, okay? It's going to be something that could really destroy your life and destroy your earning capability and your future. So you kind of have to push that off. It doesn't mean not to date at all. You should definitely be getting some experience developing your social skills, especially with women, to be able to interact and to become better later on. But dating exclusively is probably going to be a detriment to you when you're in your 20s. Next one here, what are we on? Number 5, I believe, is overcome approach anxiety. When you're in your 20s, now's the time to go out and to learn some game and to go and to learn to approach women, to overcome your fear. Why? Because that will build you confidence in a lot of other areas of your life. Surprising, a lot of the guys that I coach, again, I help them to overcome their social anxiety, right? Especially with talking to women. And then they start to succeed in other areas of their life because they feel confident. It really develops their masculinity, because this is one of those things that so many guys struggle with, and they're embarrassed, okay? And they deny it, and they make up all these excuses to say that, oh, yeah, I'm just not an extroverted person, or I have very high bullshit. All of this is bullshit. You need to overcome your fears in life. This is usually the greatest fear that most men have, and so by doing this, it is going to accelerate other areas of your life and your personal development. Plus, it's going to set you up in the future nicely to be able to have that selection when you're in your 30s, or to be able to date casually in your 20s if you want to. Most guys just don't have the option at all, and it's because they are afraid. They have not overcome that social anxiety. Next, focus. Focus, focus, focus. This is really, really critical. Do not try and do 50 million things. Don't start 15 different business ideas. Don't start 5 different blogs and web pages and all this stuff. Pick things and focus. There's a lot of different areas where you can focus in your life, and you can use different periods of time to focus on different things, and you can have multiple focuses at a time, but they need to be pretty distinct. In your financial business life, pick one business idea and focus on that, and focus on one product, one thing that you're going to deliver, and making that thing successful. Try to not split your focus. I mean, if you have to work a regular job and run a business, all right, that's harder. It's going to split your focus. That's why I said just focus on building a business. You might have to do that. That's fine. All right. But don't start 5 different businesses. Don't start all these different ideas. Stay committed to one thing. Number 7, I believe, is no TV, no video game. Believe me, I wasted a lot of time watching TV or watching movies and playing video games in my 20s, time I wish I could have gotten back. Now, I'm not totally against watching movies or TV or playing video games in general, but you need to limit it as much as possible and not get hooked and not spend this time in your 20s doing that, because you can waste so much time. It's up to you, right? Whatever you want to ration yourself. But, for me, even right now, I try to give myself, at different periods of my time, of my life, depending on what I'm working on, maybe like half an hour a day if I want to play some video games, okay? But it's planned out, it's scheduled, it's rationed. I'm also in a different place in my life. I don't even have to work, right? I'm sort of retired at this point, but if I'm in my 20s and I need to hustle and bust ass, I'm going to bust as much ass while I got that energy. Then I'm going to be working 12, 14-hour days. And maybe you want to take a little bit of time to watch a movie or video game every once in a while and you schedule it. That's fine. But in general, you need to avoid this shit. TV destroys your life. It programs you. It wastes so much time. Video games, the same thing. I used to play WoW and Lord of the Rings online and EverQuest back in the day. Waste of time. I could have been using that time to build a business. I'd be way more successful than I am right now if I'd use that time wisely. The last one here, number 8, is read, and read a lot. I didn't really start getting into a reading habit until I was in my late 20s, probably early 30s. Now I read like 50, 60, 70 books a year. Some years I think I've read 80 books. I'm constantly listening to audiobooks while I'm running. Every successful person I know reads a lot of books, okay? It's not a coincidence, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur. Read a lot of books, life-changing books that will completely change your outlook in life and give you the perspectives. Look for good books. One thing I do in the Bulldog Mindset membership, if you haven't, go check it out if you haven't joined, is I have a book club and I give you books. Every month, I give you a new book to read that is a life-changing book. It's sometimes hard to select the books, but even if you don't sign up for a membership, if you look around and research, you will find the best books that you should read. But read, read, read. You will not be able to compete with people who are reading hundreds of books, all right, if you've only read like 10 or 20 books in your life. You just will not be on the same level at all in your terms of your thinking, in terms of what you understand and your knowledge of the world. Like, it's going to be this small compared to other people who have a huge knowledge of the world and the wisdom that they'll get from that. Those are my tips for your 20s. Make sure you smash that like button. I would appreciate it, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.